The perfect defensive attributes for your build. We're about to get into it. It's about to get real out here. A lot of key points for defense and so much to get into. So pay attention, lock in. Yes, by the way, we do have playmaking, shooting, and finishing as well. So go check those out after you watch this. But let's lock in right now and jump down the rabbit hole that is defense. Listen, first and foremost, I got to say this. Defense wins championships, as they say. So you are definitely in the right place to start breaking it down. There's too much to talk about. As you can see, I have physicals in here because defense involves physicals a lot. And we got to make sure that we are paying attention to that as we go forward. Don't pay attention to the build types. Don't pay attention to anything other than some of the things. We're going to do multiple versions of this and break it down all here right now. So lock in. All right, so first and foremost, we want to do perimeter defense. This is for a lot of guards. Even the center having perimeter defense can be useful. It is necessary for centers if they have to guard a pick and roll and they're switching, anything like that, it's necessary. But outside of the center, you know, other play styles always have to have some type of perimeter defense. The question is, how much is enough? And perimeter defense isn't just enough. Perimeter defense also works with acceleration and strength. Okay, and we'll get into it in just a second. But as you can see, I have this already at a decent rate and it's not doing much. You don't see nothing moving up. Guess why? Because strength is also tied to a lot of these attributes. So it's, even though I can go as high as I want, my strength isn't going high enough to unlock specific badges. So for example, all alone at a 90, I'm still not upgrading clamps, even though I got perimeter at a 92. This is important to pay attention to and to understand as we go forward. And I'll showcase it right here. As you can see, clamps is literally a waste right now. And the reason for that is because I have not upgraded the rest of my strength. I have to meet the requirements. It says 45 to be able to meet the first requirement, which is bronze. So I'm going to go down here, put that on 45, and you'll see now I have bronze clamps. Okay, so just pay attention to that. And throughout the video, there's a lot of this. So being smart enough to take a moment while you're making your build, checking out what you need to do as far as like putting on the exact amounts. I would 100% put strength up as high as humanly possible if I want to be a lockdown. Okay, just so you can understand that. All right, so now the requirement is 60, so I don't even need to have a lot of strength, just a decent amount. So we're going to drop this down to 60 and make believe that I have the exact amount. Guess what? I do need to have this at a 99. Is it worth having clamps on 99? If you're a true lockdown, 100%. Absolutely. There's no question. There's no conversations. That is really good to have. You can drop this down if you're going to do something backwards, which we'll talk about. It's very simple. Basically saying, you know what? I'd rather get 99 steals than clamps on Hall of Fame. 99 steals gives me Hall of Fame glove, interceptor, but we'll get into that. But the point is, other than that one reason, if you're a pure lockdown, you want to try to get both. And we'll get into why in just a second. But let's just make believe you're not a lockdown. And we're going to go backwards and rewind this. All right, I do meet the requirements for clamps. The literal first bronze is at an 85, which I think is I'm sorry about that. It's not at 85. I lied. It's at a 75 for bronze. That's doable for every build. I think you should automatically have that high of a number for most builds. Now, there's some very highly offensive builds that are the main point guards that are going to be running the game that can sacrifice, but we're not here to talk about sacrifice. We're talking about the best value. Personally, I think silver is the sweet spot. The game will change throughout the months. They do patches, they do some updates, they alter the game a little bit, and it changes. And the truth is, silver has always been a good spot for me when I have non-defensive builds, and I feel like I can do very well with a silver. This year it's still very early, but I do believe that will end up happening at some point. Now, the question is, are you going to go up to a 93 for perimeter? Is that your goal? If you are, then that's most likely because you want to be a very hardcore lockdown that wants to be able to contribute on defense. So gold to me is the sweet spot out of all of it. Now we're going to get into more things about that specifically, but you can see it does require some strength and it does require a decent amount of your attributes. Okay. From there, if we're going into the lockdown mode, we're going to talk about this. First of all, interceptor hasn't been the best this year, but at a 60 so that you can get bronze, I think that's decent. I don't see no harm in that right now. Doesn't mean that it's the best one that you should get, but it is good. Personally, I'm liking the way it feels when I am at an 81 because you have silver interceptor. Remember, I got multiple builds. I've been able to steal a lot. I play a lot of rec by myself, and I'm just in there getting bump steals or interceptions. Interceptions are tricky. They're very hard, and they're all about timing and your rating as well. The higher you have, for example, gold or even Hall of Fame, for example, you're going to be able to steal way more, but it's very tricky. You have to time those interceptions. Okay. So I want to just kind of stress that before we get into the value of what I think is best. This is one of the most hardest ones to put a value to because your skill will determine if you're going to use this. Some people will think it's useless to go higher than, for example, a 71. I'm sorry, 60 to get bronze. Personally, I love it. I think gold is the sweet spot. Again, at an 89, you don't have to spend all your attributes to go up to Hall of Fame on interceptor. Okay, I think that's nice, but the overall best value is a 92 because you're gonna get gold, glove, and right stick ripper. So those together plus interceptor makes you overpowered. Then you can really start poking and trying to get those steals. It enhances everything, and a 92 is the best value for your buck. Going higher, for example, interceptor on Hall of Fame, if you really need those interceptions and you're playing Pro-Am, for example, and your job is to stop those, then go for it. Okay. Last but not least, as I said, I would probably lower if I was just trying to get steals and just be a little bit of a menace. I'll go with 85 perimeter and then I'll go to 99 steals. And the reason for this is because I don't want to have two 99s. And if my build isn't made for this, it's focusing on offense. But I do want to be able to steal the ball consistently. Having these on Hall of Fame will give me a better clutch than clamps. Because let's face it, stand in front of somebody, either you have the skill to do a decent job or a badge will not save you. Sorry to break it to you. A top player will take your ankles and you got to have a team to support you. So this is the way I would go. And I think it's the most efficient as far as like you are going to get some steals and you are going to do some work. Okay. And that's just for steals. And now this combines, and I want to take a pause. This combines into the whole build depending on what your play style is going to be. You're going to be just a perimeter guy who's playing full court press, things like that. You got to have high speed. You got to have high stamina. These are things that are just as important, and we'll get into them in just a second. But as you can see, this badge right here, it requires way more perimeter for me to get it. This is 94 feet. You want 94 feet. You want a bunch of other badges as well, but fast feet, 94 feet, for example, 94 feet, perimeter at a 90. Do I really need this? Or I'm going to go 93 to get Hall of Fame. But how about fast feet? Look at this. This is another great one, but I need to have it at a 97. This is strictly for those perimeter guys. Okay. And then look, they're asking for more acceleration. Now I got to have an 82, which you should have that if you're a guard and you're trying to get full court press. That's going to be critical. So fast feet on Hall of Fame and I think so. Basically almost 99 on everything. And that's where the 299s will work. And I just wanted to point that out because that's just critical. Now we're going to back up, take a moment and look at other attributes that are important as well. And they're basically critical to the game as far as like being able to dominate defensively. Okay, because a lot of people forget that it depends on your play style and what your focus is. So we're gonna go into a bigger guard. I mean, a bigger player. It doesn't have to be a center, but it's a bigger player. We're gonna go into blocks, and blocks are also tied to various aspects. All right, you need some interior for some of this. You need some vertical for some of this, some speed for some of this. This is not all about just putting blocks as high as you can. Check this out. I'm going to put blocks up. It is upgrading other attributes, but I'm going to put it up, and I got it to 99. Guess what? Everything else has not upgraded. Why? Because I haven't met the requirements for them. So I am going to work on vertical so I can get chase down higher. And then I'm going to go with speed because chase down doesn't work without speed. So boom, now I got chase down on silver. Is that what I want? No, but I have to be able to get my vertical up as well. Now I have Hall of Fame chase down because I put my speed and my vertical up, plus my blocks at a very high rate. Do I want this? Definitely not. All right, guys, we're going to get into it in just a second. Just wanted to point that out again to make sure y'all understand. Somebody giving you like a regular rate, it's not going to work. You have to meet the requirements for all of it. And what is a good chase down? Depends on what type of player you are, okay? If you're going to be a true lockdown, you do want to have chase down. I do feel really good about gold because it is low. It's at an 87 block rate, okay? And then you don't have to have crazy amounts of speed. You can do it at a 71, and then your vertical doesn't need to be crazy either. You can do it at an 80. All right. So this was the requirements for you to get gold. And the reason why this is important is if you're a lockdown and they take your angles and you're on an ISO and you don't got no help, you got to be able to try to block a few times to make them not want to throw that layup or dunk ever again. You got to be a threat. Now, if you really want to go crazy, let's just make believe, we want to meet the requirements to Hall of Fame. Guess what? I need to go to an 83. This is not a lot. This is not a lot, especially for a lockdown. Hall of Fame chase down as well. Let's say you have 99 this, 99 that, and you can throw this in there. That would be insane. All right. Now, for the centers, the reason I'm bringing this up is because you definitely can reach these requirements. You're 7 foot tall. Can you do it? It should be in your game, in my opinion. Even if it's just gold, it's more than enough. All right. You got to have some type of skill in the defensive area as a center. All right. And that's what I got. But now, if you're one of the guards that just want to be able to block from time to time, personally, it's a steal at 78. All right. You get silver chase down artist. All right. Now, that's not the main thing to focus on. We're going to get into anchor in a second, but I just wanted to touch on some of that. Let's reset this all. And now we're going into anchor. Anchor, again, is one of those badges. You need to have defensive blocks as well in order to meet the requirements, right? It says 61. And this one should be for every build. Honestly, even if you're a point guard, you should have anchor if you can. Okay, the reason why I say anchor is critical if you can get it up there is because it's just a way to stop people from scoring in the paint. You don't have to block a shot. You don't have to do nothing fancy. All right, but it says I have it on bronze. And then now we're going to go up. And I'm going to continue to go up here. And we have the right requirements for silver. Personally, I've been loving it on gold. I have 2 builds for defense right now, and it's been top tier. Again, it's a defensive badge, so you do need block at a 92, and you should be good to go with interior. And interior, to me, high numbers, guys, high numbers. 85 interior, and then you just need to have for 85 interior, 85 interior and 92, you get gold. This one's working on my 6'8". I play like a 7'3" center, and I have gameplay footage. You could check that out with my 6'8" center. And it has pretty much this setup here when it comes to blocks. All right. I do have strength very high. I'll tell you that. And then we'll explain that in just a second. But the reason I have that up, you're going to see in just a minute why. Things like post lockdown and so much more. All right. But this is the numbers that I have that I think are the best for the centers for the value. Now, again, going up to 99 for Hall of Fame version. Decent, but not necessary. Now, we're going to get into strength. Reason I want to go into strength before we go into the rest of the build is because strength has secret things for both steals, blocks, interior defense, and actually rebounds. So before I get into rebounds, we're going to get into strength. So with strength, I'm doing immovable force. It's basically a secondary clamps badge, but it also helps you in the paint when someone's trying to dunk on you. Okay. Very critical badge. All you need is strength. And if I put this at an 82, I have silver immovable force. That is the minimum that I think any big man should have. That's very low. Okay. But personally, gold or higher is extremely powerful. All right. I have it on Hall of Fame on 2 of my builds, and it's so amazing. All right. With immovable force, all right, which gives me brick wall as well on gold, and a bunch of more stuff that you'll see in just a second. If I put up my interior, I'm going to start getting anchor up a little bit. I'm going to get post lockdown up to a silver. If I put it on here, I can even go higher with an 88 and go crazy on a post control. You don't really need it that much. Silver has been working just fine. The point is, strength is so good. You can even get offensive badges like this right here. Okay. All right. So that being said, how does that work with the overall build? Let's say I put on some extra perimeter. That's going to help with clamps. It's going to help with those badges I was talking about. All of that plays a role. But guess what strength really does, and that I love the most about this build, okay, is the actual box out beast. Box out beast to me is the best defensive badge when it comes to centers. It's able to shut people down. I push people aside. I'm 6'8" as a center, but I push people aside. I get rebounds more than everybody in every game I play. There hasn't been a game yet so far. Okay. And you need to have high strength, right? 90 or higher. 90 is good enough. But for example, my rebounds sitting there at a Hall of Fame almost. Let's go to a rebound chaser. I just need to go to 99 if I really want to do that. Do I feel like it's necessary? No, I can go on gold because I have box out beast. Okay. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. That's how good box out beast is. If you know how to box people out, you'll be fine. So for defense rebounds and offensive rebounds, it's a complicated conversation when it comes to what you should upgrade more. I'll say it like this. Okay. One of them should be unlocking the 93 threshold to reach box out beast. So for example, let's say I put my defensive rebounds, which I have my center like this. I put this up to a 93 to get box out beast on Hall of Fame. Then I would have this somewhere decent numbers to be able to still box out. The reason I do it this way instead of the opposite way is because offensive rebounds are harder to get. The higher rating you get, as long as you unlock the right badges and you know how to position yourself, you should be fine. And with this, do I need to go up there for what other than the badges? It's unnecessary. You're going to be able to have rebound chaser on gold, which is going to allow you to get better animations. But your main job is to get position with the box out beast. So that is the key. 93 for big men. All right. Now let's just say you're not a big man, and we're going to drop this down, and it's like, what do I need? I still have gold box out beast, even though my rebounds are so low. You see how low my rebounds are? Let's see how low can we go. We can go to an 85 on defensive rebound. Let's say I drop down my offensive one. Let's just say I only want to get defensive rebounds. I'm playing twos or something. Now, I would want offensive. Let's just make believe. All right, I'll put this at 85. I'll drop this down a little bit, and we'll just go like that. And basically, I'm still going to be able to dominate because I'm going to control the boards by boxing people out consistently. Okay, this is a critical thing to understand, that that's the only way that you're going to be successful, is making sure your strength is high enough. Now, do I need it at this rate for a gold box out beast? No, I can drop it down all the way to an 84. Okay, now this is for smaller guards, maybe a power forward, maybe even a small forward. All right, is it necessary? It depends on what you're playing for, but that's how that works, and that's how that functions when it comes to everything. Okay, so remember, physicals do play a big role. This is going to change the game. And I want to say one more thing about physicals. People have been debating about this, even the developers posting comments, and then some content creators as well. No shots being fired here, but vertical does help. All right, there's been plenty of tests to show what vertical can do. It's not the most game-changing attribute that you need to focus on, but it will help you trigger better things. When I have low vertical, my player won't even jump. He'll just put his hand up like a lazy jump. But when I have vertical, it does help some jumps. But this is also because I unlock animations. For example, pogo stick, chase down artist, whatever the specific badge is, rebound chaser, all of that, you have that higher, it's going to help your vertical activate more. This doesn't mean that you're going to jump higher than everybody or something crazy, that you're going to be overpowered because you got a 99 vertical. But unlock every animation and every badge you need with vertical. And then if you have extra spare, why not put it in there if you can? Same thing with strength. You want to meet the requirements for the specific attributes. Okay. Same thing with the rest of these. For example, stamina is super critical for perimeter defense. So is speed. Your speed is your lateral movement this year. So if I have a high perimeter but low speed, I'm going to be moving slow and wondering what's wrong with me. And it's not me. It's not my perimeter defense that's wrong, because I didn't put any speed on it. What do you think is going to happen if you can't move back and forth? These are critical things, okay? And my interior defense, my blocks, rebounds, all connect to strength, vertical, and then steals. Perimeter will help with speed, acceleration. I'm sorry, speed, stamina. That's going to help with the build, okay? And that's your defensive setups. There's a lot of intricate things as far as like specific animations and things like that for everything that you want to look into, that we'll get into in other videos. I hope this one was helpful. See you guys on the court.